Our next step is going to be to figure out how do we actually want to create the floor plane of this footbridge or whatever. I'm calling it a bridge just because it's like an arc. It's like an arch shape, and you can walk over things on it or something like that. But it's just the formal name that I'm giving it. But how would we actually create a surface off of just a curve, right? So what are some of the keywords that you would think of when trying to create a surface off of a curve? Extrude, right? We've got extrude. What else? Planar surface probably wouldn't be the best bet here, because then it would create a only in the plane that the surface is in. So if we want it to go horizontally out from the curve or the arc, then that won't work for us. What else? Loft is an option too. So let's take a look at extrude and loft, right? In order to loft, we need what? Two curves, right? So we could copy or offset the curve in a particular direction and then create a loft, or we could just do an extrude. So which way do you guys want to go with this? Somebody just shout one.
Like copy and rotate it, make something.
It's funny you mention it. We're going to do that.
Yeah, because we didn't work on rotate or mirror, so.
Rotate is a little bit of a different beast. So I'm going to have to go abstract first and then bring it back to this. But yes, we're doing that today. So what do you guys want? You want loft or extrude? All right, I heard more extrudes. Sorry, you got outvoted there. All right, so we're doing extrude. So let's take a look at what we have here, guys. And you need to be a little bit careful with how you establish your extrusion. Okay, so right now, I happen to actually be in a position where I'm exactly aligned with the x-axis. If I was to take this geometry and rotate it onto an odd axis, which is likely to happen in the project that we're going to be working on, then I can't really just extrude in the y direction, can I? So for all intents and purposes, I'm actually going to rotate this out of angle a little bit like that, and then try to find a way for us to actually get that to work. Okay, so now we can no longer extrude exactly in the y axis. So again, we have to find a surface normal. So then, one of the other suggestions might actually come into play. Do you need to, for instance, maybe use planar surface in order to find it? So let's try a few things and see what we can get. So I have an arc. That arc has a volume within it where its 3 points lie. I could try to map a normal to that, so that wherever I rotate this bridge, it will follow. But let's see. I'm going to drop in. I think I'm going to work with normals, so I'm going to drop them both in, and let's see where it takes me. So I'm going to drop in evaluate surface. I'm going to drop in surface closest point, and just get it set up to receive the information that it needs, like this. Surface closest point and evaluate surface. So just kind of throwing it off the bat here, I'm going to see if when I plug in the arc as a simple geometry, if it will assume a surface. So I've got this arc here, and I'm going to plug it into surface there, and it looks like it will not. So another thing I can do to try that out is to actually go into surface freeform and do this new one that's called surface from points. So surface from points is pretty clever because what it does is it takes oh, that says grid. I wonder if that'll work. I'll try it and then we'll see.
No.
I'll try it. So it should just take a collection of points and create a surface off of it. If this doesn't work, I can try a few other things. But then I can go under the where am I? Points, points, points. Arc. Plane. Oh, I need to subdivide it again to get points. Or Maybe I can actually try boundary surface. No, that doesn't work. I'm trying to find the simplest way. Alright, we'll subdivide it, and then we'll create a surface off of it. So I'm going to go, again, back under curve, and divide curve. And I can just borrow the same subdivision, same number of subdivisions like that. Except this time the curve I'm going to divide is this one. So now I have a collection of 3 points that I'm going to map a normal off of, but I need to get a surface first. So I go to surface, freeform, surface from points.
So, can I put point to town?
Sorry, Neffy, what? Okay.
You divided arc with what?
I just went all the way back to the beginning, this 2 right here. So I'm going to make it a little bit cleaner for you. And I'm going to grab an integer number. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to say arc div for arc divisions. Yeah, this one's going to confuse you guys, but I'm just trying to clean it up for you here.
Now, what are we doing with this?
I'll show you.
Oh, we're going to make another device to give it to.
Yes. So I'm going to make this one wireless. See how that's wireless now? So this one is now, I'm going to just bring that over here and plug it into N. Okay, so I'm going to stop my thought right now so that you don't get too confused before I move on. Really, all I did was I added in this. It looks like that. It's one of those. And I named it arcdiv, right? So that's my arc divisions. I plugged in a second one to it, right? You can trace it back. And I made it wireless so that it just reminds me, you know, that I'm connected back to my arc division number, which is way back in the beginning. But I don't want all these spaghetti lines cutting through everything else that I'm doing, so I just cleaned it up. Okay, that's just a tip for you guys. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to it, but I'm throwing that out there to you. Yeah, but I wouldn't suggest it. Yes?
I didn't see how you make your console via wireless. I didn't see how you made it. How did you make it?
Make what?
Wireless?
Wireless? Okay. So to make something wireless, again, you right-click on the input, and you go to wireless display, and you click on hidden.
And if you want to shut it off, you just click default.
Yeah, these are both the same. This is just a number input. I made 2 of these. All right, guys, I hear a lot of chatter. So let me stop you all. And let me just kind of go directly into only this for a second. Okay? So a lot of times what we find is that we have a whole lot of inputs. So 0, less than 5, less than 10, whatever it is, right? So I've got this one. I could even name this, and I'll call it my arc subdivisions. That feeds into a bunch of other things like a curve. For all intents and purposes, I'm just dropping that in there for visibility's sake. Don't worry that it's red. Okay, so these wind up happening in big blocks of information like that. And it really only takes one input to drive it all. So when it gets really, really crazy, and you've got lots and lots of lines going everywhere, you've got one, you've got another one all the way down here, you've got another one that goes all the way out there, all the way down here, whatever it is, all of that can be simplified. Because if I have this here, and this here, and that there, and this here. You can't read where any of that is going. You can't trace how it's crossing through this space here. Okay, so it gets really, really confusing to keep track of where the source information is coming from. And so I tried to very simply, but it looks like I'm going to have to go into it a little bit more. What you have to do at a certain point is pull the information away. Dock your most basic source information at the top of your workspace or wherever you want to put it. I'll just get rid of that for now. And then that way, I can actually feed this information through a conduit. And when I say conduit, it means it's a connection, right? It's a connection from one input to an output. Through one conduit, that's going to just collect the data. It contains the same information I fed to it. I can make a copy of it, plug it in, make it wireless, name this one arcdiv, just for simplicity's sake. I can name this one also arcdiv to make sure I'm clear about what the input is. Now I can take that information and bring it wherever I need it. So if I know I need to take that arc and I need to divide it by my singular subdivision, I go to arcdiv and I put it in there. If this isn't here, all I have to do now is copy this, paste it, it's still connected, bring it over, and plug it in. That way, when you look at this as a complete thought, right? And so I talked to you about thoughts quite a bit. I block these things into thoughts, right? So it starts with, I subdivided a curve by my arcdiv, which if I know all of my standards for the file, it means 2. And then I did all this stuff to it, and then I need to subdivide it again by the same number of points, arcdiv. So I plug it in. So now that is a lot cleaner than seeing a whole bunch of spaghetti everywhere, is it not? I mean, right now there are only 2 hidden lines that you see, but imagine I could show you files where it's hundreds of them.
Where's that command you using it for wireless?
For what?
That one, yes, where is it?
These are all just params. So remember I said that these are empty data parameters? They don't have anything in them. You assign information to them, whether it's you right-click and you set a geometry, or if you right-click it and you give it a number, or if you plug a slider into it, it houses that information, and so it gives you an opportunity to route it into other things. Now, was that a clear explanation?
Yes, but where is it?
That one is a number. It's this one right here. So I'll drop it above it so you can just see which one it is. It's that one.
Okay. Can you do that with any node?
Yes, any one of these. Yeah.
Any of them wireless?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. If I wanted to move my curve back there. So I've got my arc subdivisions. I should probably have my original curve back here as well. So I'll leave my curve there, make a copy of it. I'm going to name these similarly, actually. I'll call it base curve. Base curve. Make this one wireless. Then I can take it down here and plug it in. And now that one's disconnected as well. So this is an idea, right? That's all my base information. And this is an idea, the connective information. Make it more sense now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you don't have to use those. I started employing it now because we have a lot of, back and forth, like all these spaghettis going up and down. And I suspect that we're going to want to keep these ideas separate. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here, and then we'll continue on with actually modifying the geometry.